You don't know anything about what's coming.
What is coming?
Doom.
Well, you got that part right. Hi there folks, it's me, Aaron, Professor Thorgi, your guide to all things geeky, and I have already done a review of the new Fantastic Four movie. It's right there. You can go ahead and click on it to watch it. And that's my more professional review. That's the review where I tried to remain focused and calm and collected. I failed. But if you want to see me talking about the story, about the script, about the plot of the film, go ahead and click on that right there. If you want to see me just collectively lose my shit, this is the video for that. Because I judged it in that review as a movie. I tried to remain professional. I tried to review it as a film itself, not as an adaptation of something else, but how well it succeeded for what it was trying to be. But stuff kept boiling up inside of me during that review, stuff that I had to tap down, and I gotta talk about it all right here in this video. This is my rant about the Fantastic Four movie. Now, this is also going to serve as my spoiler discussion of the film. And normally when I do a spoiler talk, I tell everybody, well, make sure that you've seen the film first, make sure that you go and watch it. Do not see this movie. This is not me spoiling things, so you can be like, all right, let's have a talk about it with the other people who have seen the movie. No, this is me just coming out flat out and telling you this movie is dumb. But even beyond that, there's nothing to spoil in this film. I don't know what I could spoil about. Here's the entire plot. The team is formed at the school. They create a teleportation machine. They go into this alternate reality. Dr. Doom looks like he dies. He looks like he gets left behind. They come back all changed and mutate into monsters. Then a year passes, and they are now working for the government as secret weapons. And they build another teleportation machine. And then Doom comes back through it. And then Doom just goes, well, I'm just gonna f*** everything up. And he just starts blowing up. And then the team decides to fight him. And that's the end of the movie. That's literally all that there is to this. I'm not kidding. Stan Lee didn't even make a cameo in this film. That's how little there is to spoil about this movie. The greatest hype man in comic book history, the guy who made his fortune by saying, yeah, I'll appear on that. You want me on a game show? I'll be in that. You want me in a movie? I'll be on that. You want me on the news? I'll be in that. He took one look at this script and went, I don't want to be in that. Excelsi, no. I think after watching this movie that Marvel canceled their Fantastic Four comic book not because of a dispute over the movie rights, not because their studio didn't own the rights to it anymore, but because they took a look at the script for this movie and they went, listen, we can either choose to end it now while it's still in our hands, or we can wait till this movie comes out and just watch all of our readers fade away. The choice is ours. But okay, let's get into some of the actual problems with this movie. And the first thing I gotta talk about is the directing. It is so uneven, and we all heard the rumors from behind the scenes that apparently Josh Trank was just showing up to work some days and not caring, and that he was refusing flat out to do some of the scenes to this, and that the studio then had to bring in additional directors to film the scenes that Josh Trank refused to direct. And listen, it totally feels like that. It does. It totally feels like that. It feels like multiple people to create a film without talking to each other. And Josh Trank, listen, brother, I'm on your side. I want to be on your side because you're the creator and the studio tried to destroy your creation. You had a vision for this film and the studio came in and just tried to put a stop to it. I want to be on your side. Except that your vision was to make this a horror film. The Fantastic Four, the most family-friendly superhero team in history. A comic book franchise that's all about fun and exploration and adventure and being a family. That is the number one thing that the movie is about. You wanted to take that and turn it into, you said, The Fly. Your words. The moment you said that, Stan Lee should have just run up and punched you off screen. Alright, that was the Stan Lee cameo at the end of this movie. It should have been just Stan Lee coming up and going, what'd you want to do with my film? What now? The ghost of Jack Kirby himself should have come out and started haunting you Paranormal Activity style the moment that you said you wanted to make this a horror film. Actually, that would be a pretty cool horror film itself. And yes, the horror elements of it do indeed work. Josh Trank does know how to direct horror. However, as I said, he really shouldn't have. I mean, yes, The Thing, I can see that when The Thing is going, help me read. It's like, that's really effective and you do kind of feel for him. But when you've got the Human Torch there, just permanently on fire, and his dad is looking at him like, my boy, my poor boy, you're like, That is not fun in any way, shape, or form. That just makes you feel terrible inside. You are watching this film about family and about a team coming together, and you're just like, I feel terrible for watching this. Why is that your goal? To make the audience feel that way in this movie? And the actors, oh my god. Okay, let's talk about the actors in this film. Every single actor in this film is talented. We know that. We have seen them in other films and TV shows in which they have displayed an incredible range and a great gift in their acting abilities. We know they can do this. In this movie, they either just did not care, or this film was in such a rush to get made that they just took the first take on everything. The first take in which they successfully read their lines from start to finish, they just took it. Because Miles Teller's probably the best. Miles Teller's probably the best, and in the beginning he is supposed to be playing kind of a goofy nerd, and he can do goofy, he can do a nerd, and he does it fairly well. But then as soon as it turns serious, it really looks like he just did every single first take. Every single time in which he said the line correctly, they just took that take, and they was like, oh wait, I think I can do that better. No time for you to do that better. We gotta get this movie made. That was a little bit too mean. He does actually give a couple of lines in here that I thought were pretty good after he starts being serious. And I do mean a couple because I can count them on my fingers. 2. There are 2 moments in here in which I went, okay, that was still pretty good. And that was pretty good. Everything else, it's so flat. And speaking of flat characters, Kate Mara as Susan Storm, again, let me clarify, I am not blaming the actor on this. I'm not blaming any of the actors on this film because they were given nothing. And Susan Storm is one of the best examples of being given nothing because her entire character is simply, I'm good at science, I was adopted, and I can spot patterns. That is it. She doesn't even get a personality. There are so many bad characters in here, but at least they have something of a personality. She has no personality in this film. Every line out of her is just, you should really have done that instead. I'm surprised that didn't blow up. It's like, really? That is all that there is to you? You're just the one who spots the problems and things and just points them out? That is it. That is all that there is to her. She is the sister to Johnny Storm. They seem like strangers. They seem like they don't even know each other. And the entire point of the Invisible Woman is that she is the heart of the team. Is that she is the one that ties them all together as a family. She is the one that's full of love and full of compassion. This character could not have been more flat. Just without any depth or heart or emotions for anything. And Michael B. Jordan as the Human Torch. Oh, Michael. Oh, you guys all heard me. You guys all heard me in the lead up to this going, I don't know about this movie, but at least Michael B. Jordan is the Human Torch. That is the one good casting they did in here, because holy cow, I've seen Michael B. Jordan in other films. He nails the Human Torch. He is perfect for the Human Torch. He would be a great Johnny Storm. I said that with every single trailer that they put out. Michael B. Jordan, you were the chosen one. You were supposed to save this movie, not destroy it. And again, it is not his fault, but I get so frustrated with this one because they cast the perfect guy as Johnny Storm and then wrote a character who was not in any way Johnny Storm. This is a guy who is just full of teen angst. That is all that there is to Johnny Storm in this film. Johnny Storm in the comics is smooth. He's a player. He's upbeat. He's happy. He's a prankster. He's joyful. All the things that Michael B. Jordan has played in his other roles. This character is just pure teen angst. It is nothing but, F you, Dad. What do you know, Dad? Why are you always coming around telling me stuff, Dad? It starts off with him in a street race, and I have mentioned in that review that I did about how cheap this movie was, about how rushed it was. The street race in this film was that first big hint. It was. The street race that he is in is with 2 cheap-ass cars. They don't even look good. And they're just driving down a regular highway with other cars on it, and they're going the speed limit on it. Like, they seriously are not going fast at all during this chase. And I looked at it and I was like, did they not get the permits to close this road? I would not be shocked if that was the truth. I would not be shocked if it was that rushed. Because there were literally moments in which they are passing by cars, but it looks like a respectable speed that they're still going at. Like, just say, like, they almost put their blinkers on when they pass these cars. It is so poorly done. And then after that, his dad comes and bails him out of jail for street racing, and he bails him out, and he's like, well, hey man, I'm going to give you an opportunity. You got great skills, you're great with machines, I want you on my team of super scientists to help me build this thing. And then he's still just like, you always like soup best. It's like, He's given you an amazing opportunity here. What more proof do you need that he cares about you? And don't get me wrong, the idea that Johnny feels resent for the fact that his dad always cared more about Sue because Sue was a super genius, there's stuff there. You can write a story about that. You don't ever see that in this film. In fact, you just see his dad trying to bond with him. And he's still just like, man, f*** you, Dad, I don't care about any of this. And then you'd think that if Johnny was so envious of Sue, there'd be some great scenes between the two of them. I can count on one hand the number of scenes that I see between Johnny and Sue. It is that small, and like I said, they really just don't feel like they don't even know each other. Like, it feels like they met each other on set the day that they showed up. Like, the day they showed up to film, that was the first time they went, oh shoot, Michael B. Jordan is in this film. Oh shoot, Kate Mara is in this film. But none of them are as bad as Ben Grimm in this film. He is easily the worst. I mentioned how Sue had no personality to her. Ben has negative personality in this. Ben, you get no connection to him at all before he turns into the rock monster. He is there in the beginning because he is the friend to Reed, and you don't see squat that. You just see the two of them stand next to each other at the science fair, and Ben just does not seem like he wants to be there. Like, I keep saying that over and over and over again, but this time they wrote that into the script because they were like, yeah, okay, well, he's at a science experiment and he doesn't know anything about science, so he's just there to help out his buddy. It's like, well, then have him being his buddy. Instead, Reed is doing all the work, and Ben's just there like, okay. It's like, so I'm supposed to think they're friends? Because this literally just looks like the dude who Reed just paid off to show up next to him because he needed some muscle with his science experiment. They have no connection. And the reason why Ben is in this experiment that gives them all their powers is dumb. It's just dumb. In the comics, Reed builds this ship that's going to fly out into space to examine cosmic radiation, and he goes, hey man, it's an experimental ship, I need someone to fly it. Well, my best buddy Ben is in the military, he's in the Air Force, and he knows how to fly experimental vehicles. That is all that he does. It's what he's trained to do. So perfect. There's an exact reason why Ben is in this ship in the comics. In this, they literally just had an open space. The government is going to come in, take their experimental teleport to this alternate dimension. They're going to come and take that way in the morning. So the team goes, let's do it. Let's do it ourselves. I want to go and be the first person in this alternate reality because I want to be famous. They say that early on about Reed, by the way. They say the reason he wants to do all this is so that he can be famous. Wow, that is a betrayal of his character. It is. It is such a betrayal of his character. It is an insult almost. Once again, it makes you not even like this guy. But they're going to do it. There's an empty slot, and he's like, you know what? Ben was there for my first experiment. He's got to be here for this one. Again, he abandoned this guy as soon as he got to this school. And they're about to go to an alternate dimension, and he's going to go, well, okay, Ben knows nothing about this. He's had no training with this. He hasn't been prepared. He hasn't seen us do any of this stuff. Let's bring him along anyways. Who cares? No thought was put into any of that. And so then these military guys come in and they tell him, okay, well, if you want to use this machine, we'll let you rebuild it so you can find a way to cure yourself, but only if you work with us and use your powers for our needs. And you think then they're going to start learning about their powers, start connecting with each other, or start having a moral quandary about whether or not they should actually be working with the government and what the government wants them to do. Nope, then it jumps ahead by 1 year. It instantly jumps ahead by 1 year. All those interesting things you could have done, gone. They happened off screen somewhere. And Reed Richards just skips town. He just leaves the facility and goes, don't worry, I'm gonna find a way to cure you. And he pops up 1 year later down in South America, and he is working to build something. He never says what it is. They never say it. He is just working on something. He could just been digging around there, totally forgetting about his friends for all we know. But Johnny Storm is just like, yeah, I'm gonna work with the government. It's gonna be great. I'm gonna go out there and use my powers to blow stuff up. And it's like, no, man, this does not make me like you. It makes me look at you and think you're kind of stupid. And Sue once again doesn't care. That is her one state throughout the entire movie. She just doesn't care. And the thing is now their weapon. He is nothing more than a weapon. He gets sent out there to just kill stuff, to just kill people. That's it. And I mean that literally. There is a moment in which it shows him watching footage of a mission he just went on, and it says at the bottom, 43 confirmed kills. We have had no information on this guy. We've got no backstory on him. No character, no personality. All we know about the thing is that he has killed 43 people. How's that going to make us like him? When that is the only bit of information we have on him, is that he has now killed in this movie more people than Wolverine has killed in his movie. How does it make us like him? And again, this is the Fantastic Four. This is the Fantastic Four, the most family-friendly comic book series of all time. And they're just like, well, he has now murdered this many people. Done. Good. For all you people out there who are mad about Man of Steel, oh my god, this should infuriate you. And speaking of somebody who was mad about Man of Steel, yes it does. In fact, the only people who should be happy about this film are the Man of Steel fans, because, listen, I don't mean to pick on you guys, I don't mean to just throw you under the bus, but I always had problems with Man of Steel because that was a film that I felt was trying to be dark and serious that did not know how to be dark and serious, and everybody was just acting way too monotone, and then at the end they just throw in a whole lot of action for no reason that does not congeal with the rest of the film. This movie does all that, way worse, but shorter and faster. This movie follows the exact same pattern of that film, almost beat by beat, except that it has no professionalism, no depth, no anything really. This is my new #1 film that whenever I want to point to the way that comic book movies can be done poorly when you go for that dark, gritty take on something, this is it. And this whole 43 kills thing is the perfect example of that because it serves no purpose in this movie except to turn to the audience and go, so that's pretty f***ed up, right? Yeah. Guess he must be really messed up from that, right? Yeah. Now I've somehow gotten this far into the review without talking about Victor Von Doom, and Victor Von Doom, listen, we all heard that he was going to be a blogger, and everybody got upset about that. Well, they took that out. Congratulations, they took that out. Didn't fix anything else with him, because he is just a douchebag. That's all that there is to his character. When we first see him in this movie, it's just him sitting at a chair playing Call of Duty, like just with garbage all over his desk. And it's just like, this is your idea of the most maniacal, evil genius on the world? Just some dude who looks at 3 computer screens at once? Oh my gosh, it means nothing. And then when we see him working at the facility, once again, you are supposed to buy that there is some kind of a connection between these characters. One of the great things in the comics between Reed Richards and Dr. Doom is that they used to be friends, is that they met and they went, oh, you're the only person I've ever met who's as smart as me. Great, you're someone I can talk to. And they just started to bond over that. There is none of that here. There is a montage of them working together. You get no sense that they are friends. You get no sense that they work together or that they even enjoy each other's company or that they can even compliment each other on an intellectual level. You get no sense of any of that. The only kind of connection that you get between him and the other characters is that he had a thing for Susan. And when he sees Reed getting close to Susan, he doesn't like it. That's it. Victor Von Doom was always angry at Reed because he was the one guy who might be smarter than him, and it really said a lot about his need to be superior. In this, he's just a dude bro who doesn't like some nerd cuddling up to his lady. That's it. That is all that there is to this character before he goes into the tube. And then after the 1 year time jump, they go back into the other dimension and they find Doom here in this dimension, and now he's some weird melted metal man. And the suit looks terrible. We have all talked about how bad the suit looks. We have all heard reviews saying how bad the suit looks. I don't need to say anything else about it. It looks like an action figure wrapped in tinfoil that got put inside the microwave. It is awful. And I do not understand, for the life of me, why Fox does not want to just use a metal suit. Even in that last Fantastic Four movie that they did, it was still like his skin just turning metal. I do not understand why they do not want to put him in a metal suit. The most popular comic book character in the world is a dude in a metal suit. Iron Man is insanely popular worldwide, and part of that is because of Robert Downey Jr., but it is also because people just love that suit. People just want to see that suit form around them. People want that suit. They want to see that suit with the little hood that comes down. They love it, and here you have a character who also has a metal suit that is actually even more technologically advanced than Iron Man's suit, and it's powered by magic, which I don't know, is that a popular thing to put in movies? It's not like there's a giant franchise based entirely around that. You have that suit plus magic, and you don't want to use it? It blows my mind! Now, before I go any further, there's one super geeky complaint I have to make about this film, and that is that there's a moment in this movie in which Victor is still working with the team, and he mentions, oh, this world is using up all its resources, it's got no future left. And then Susan says, check out Dr. Doom over here. Now, Dr. Doom is indeed an expression, but it's an expression that is a reference to the comic. Before that comic, Dr. Doom didn't mean anything. That was not a thing. So whenever somebody refers to someone as Dr. Doom, they might be using it just to display someone being pessimistic, but they are still using a reference to the comic. And this to me is just a microcosm of how lazy the script for this movie was. Is that there is actually a moment in which Susan says, hey, you're just like this guy from this comic book that doesn't exist in this world because we're them. I know that was a really stupid complaint, but the moment I heard it, I just went, wait a minute, how the f does that work? But anyway, on to the rest of the movie. This movie, it didn't just screw up Dr. Doom with the way they looked. It didn't just screw him up with the way they looked. Or the fact that he was just a total douchebag when he was in his human form rather than being a brilliant scientist and a brilliant, like, egotistical maniac. No, even after he gets the powers, they don't explain what his powers are. They don't give us any idea of it. His power is literally just to make people's heads explode. And this movie, once again, the most family-friendly superhero team out there, has a character whose power is he makes people's heads explode when he looks at them. Not like they just faint. Not like, oh, eyes roll back in my head and I just faint. Literally splatters of blood behind them on the wall. And there were children in this theater. Once again, Man of Steel, for that whole neck-snapping ending, you are forgiven. You are not even in my top 10 complaints at the moment anymore. This movie, oh my god, just seas of heads exploding. And a lot of people might go, oh, well, there have been other movies where the villains kill people before. Yeah, they kill them in like a giant explosion and you don't see any of the bodies. They kill them by some giant optic laser blast and it's like, oh, now there's just a big smoking crater there. This here, blood everywhere. This is a superhero property. The #1 group of people that go to see superhero films are families. They're people with kids. And this movie just gave a giant finger to that because they were so afraid of someone looking at this property and going, well, that seems kind of goofy to me. F you, there's nothing wrong with goofy sometimes, alright? Honestly, this is the thing that's driving me the craziest about this movie and about so many other films out there that are going for the dark, dreary tone. There are some properties that absolutely should be dark and dreary and serious. They absolutely should be. If you want to make a Batman film that you can't take a kid to, hey man, that's understandable. You want to make a Wolverine film that's rated R? Go for it, man. His superpower is he stabs people, alright? Totally understandable. But when you were looking at something that is known for being completely family friendly, and you're like, we gotta go dark and gritty with that, then it is not the property's fault that it failed. It is not the audience's fault for not getting it. You just made a bad decision. In fact, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, the previous Fantastic Four films are all bad. They really are. But as I was watching this movie, I couldn't help it. I kept thinking back to them and just going, they weren't all that bad. I kept thinking back to that second one, being like, well, Lawrence Fishburne as the Silver Surfer was really good. And I kept thinking back to like the joking buddy relationship between the Human Torch and the Thing. And I was like, hey man, at least that was kind of fun. When you have two films that are just absolute trash, and you're like, alright, we gotta go dark and serious with this one. And you miss the mark so much that you make me look back to those things with longing remembrance, you failed. Absolutely on every level. And this is the point that I've been leading up to, which is that I just don't understand why every single studio out there looks at their comic book properties and goes, we have to be dark, we have to be serious, we have to be realistic. I do not understand that at all, how you're taking something that is so fantastical and going, well, we have to be dark and serious about. Harry Potter didn't do that. It cleaned up at the box office. Lord of the Rings didn't do that. It killed at the box office. And yet, this Fantastic Four movie, the DC Cinematic Universe, even that first Amazing Spider-Man, when they tried to reboot it, they were like, we gotta go darker, we gotta make him like preying on people in the night, we have to go super serious on this. The only studio out there that is not going dark, is not going serious, is not going super over-the-top dramatic, is the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's Disney with all these films, and they're cleaning up. They're crushing all of you. I have no idea how these other studios can look at the Marvel Cinematic Universe and look at how lighthearted and fun it is and how successful it's been and go, well, we gotta be the exact opposite of that. I can understand at least one of these studios. I can understand DC looking at that and going, well, if that's what they're defining themselves as, we have to define ourselves as something different. I might disagree with it, but I can understand how they're trying to set themselves differently from that. But Fantastic Four, that Amazing Spider-Man film, I don't understand how these studios are looking at this incredible blockbuster success story and going, we can't do that. It almost feels like all these studios are ashamed of the fact that they're making a superhero film. It feels like they're trying to apologize to you for the fact that they're making a superhero film. It's like, yes, okay, I understand that dude stretches, but he's on the run and he's very tormented because he let his friends down. Okay, this guy's a big rock dude. That looks goofy, but no, don't worry, he's in pain 24/7. That's dramatic, right? And he's murdered 43 people. Are you gonna take him serious now? Listen, that's not goofy, right? This film failed on so many levels and it's tanking so hard at the box office right now that I have seen so many people saying, well, I don't know if you can make a Fantastic Four movie. You absolutely can. You can easily make a Fantastic Four movie. It's one of the easiest properties to adapt. You just have to care. That is all that there is to it. It's like whenever somebody says, I don't know if you can make a video game movie. Of course you can. You just need to put someone on this film who cares about and who understands what makes it work, rather than a studio that is solely trying to just hold on to the property, not because it's even successful for them, because it's not. It's not good for their name and it's not good for their business. They're trying to hold on to this property solely so Marvel doesn't get it back. Solely so Marvel doesn't have another thing that they can possibly succeed with. And that is the most infuriating thing to me about all of this. Okay guys, that's it. I gotta go. I have used up all the saliva in my mouth talking about this. I've been talking for so long, the battery in my camera is about to die. So before I go, as always, I want to hear from you guys. If you happen to see this movie, what did you think of it? And what would you like to see happen with the Fantastic Four from here on out? Do you think that there is any chance that Fox will sell this back to Marvel now? Just throwing it out there. Or do you think that they're going to continue with this whole Fantastic Four X-Men crossover thing that they're talking about? I don't even know. It's making me sad just thinking about it. If you want to see more from me, I'm usually way more composed and way more calm and way more friendly and happy and upbeat. But if you want to see more from me, hit that subscribe button right there. Or follow me on Twitter and Tumblr right there. And if you want to see that other review that I did, it's right there. I am really just worn the fudge out from all this, but it's out of my system now. It's out of my system. And now it is time for me to go and review my next movie. Too soon!